Throw it up. I'm going to go over everything that I read in the first quarter, everything I'm currently reading, bless you, and everything I plan to read in quarter two in under 3 minutes, starting now. First was Before They Are Hanged by Joe Abercrombie. You're going to see a lot of him on this. One of the greatest fantasy novels I've ever read. Took my least favorite character and turned him into one of my favorite characters in any book. And then for something completely different, I read Albert Camus' The Stranger. This is a really interesting book. I can see why this is considered a classic. It was just very hard to get through. The main character is just so completely devoid of empathy throughout the entire story that it makes it pretty hard to read it. It was kind of like reading American Psycho. It was that same sort of like, you were interested in what was happening, but it kind of made you sick to your stomach. Next, I read The Last Argument of Kings by Joe Abercrombie, the third and final book in the First Law trilogy. This is the best ultimate, conclusion to a trilogy I've ever read, unless you're counting. I made a whole video about it. Link in bio or somewhere above my head. Next is Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie. Like I said, a lot of him in quarter one. This is one of the greatest revenge stories I've ever read. My one complaint is that it feels a little episodic. It's very small complaint. It was just an incredible read. To me, this just illustrates that Joe's writing gets better every time he releases something. That trend has continued through quarter one, and I can see it continuing into quarter two. Pure Nessie by Susanna Clark. I read this on my honeymoon, and I didn't know anything about it going into it. And when I tell you this is probably the best book I've read all year, it's not an exaggeration. I mean, it is incredible. The plotting, the viewpoint, the framing of the story, the atmosphere, especially the atmosphere, the mystery that is at the center of this book. I'm trying to be vague so I don't, give everything away. Incredible. The Heroes by Joe Abercrombie. This is a lot of people's favorite Joe Abercrombie book, and I can see why. This is a very, very good book. It has some of the coolest writing mechanics I've ever read, but we'll have a review of this coming out very soon. Okay, on to what I'm currently reading. I'm about halfway through A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. I'm a pretty decent chunk into Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. It's very good, but it is very Dune-y. The War of the Roses by Dan Jones. Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I want to read the Poppy War trilogy by R.F. Kong. A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wang. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I've heard a lot of really good things about Terry Pratchett, and so I bought Going Postal. And then I told myself as soon as I finish the Stormlight Archive Arc 1, I'm going to go ahead and start the Wheel of Time.